Chapter 12. It was early morning at the church grounds. The gardeners are working the courtyard and breakfast is being delivered. A maid comes screaming out of one of the upstairs rooms facing the courtyard. "She's dead! Someone killed her!" Guards come running and charge up the steps. They check out the indicated room as one of the fathers comes and comforts the maid. Through the door, the young dead maid lies on the floor in a pool of blood, face up with pleading eyes. Later that afternoon, Alberto arrives outside the church grounds with the guard Tito. Tito follows Alberto's command and is standing guard a short distance away. Alberto meets with Nunzo outside the church grounds. Nunzo is depressed and crying as they sit on a bench a short distance from the church grounds. Alberto is trying to comfort his friend. I heard about the murder and came quickly. Did you know the maid?" "I knew her well. We were good friends. This may have to do with the seal you asked me about. Why would someone kill her over a simple seal?" "I'm sorry I got you involved. I think you need to hide till we can solve this. Do you know what rooms she may have been in?" "She worked in the bishop's, Father Luciano's, and Father Largo's areas. She cleaned and brought food to them on request. I didn't want her in danger. I just asked her if she had ever seen the seal and to keep her eyes open." "Do you have somewhere to go where no one can find you?" "Yes. I have a friend who lives outside town with a family in the north of Primo's farm. No one could find me there." "Okay, go now. Don't go back for anything and try and make sure you're not followed. I'll send word when it's safe." Nunzio rises and leaves, heading away from the church grounds. Alberto keeps watch till Nunzio is out of sight. Seeing action around the church gate, Alberto waits for a short time. He waits when he observes Raffaello of the guards leaving the church grounds. Alberto and Tito approach Raffaello. "Raffaello, can I have a moment?"
"Yes, what can I do for you?"
"Can you tell me anything about the murder I've heard about? My master is asking for information." "She was stabbed from the front. No one noticed anything, and she went missing this morning after being in the kitchen. The room has been empty, and no one has used it for many weeks." "Where was the room located? I mean, when compared to where she normally works?" "She would have had to pass by, going from the kitchen to the residences of many of the fathers and the bishop whom she worked for. Apparently, someone was waiting for her." Is there any motive?" "Nothing anyone mentioned. Now I need to leave. There is still much work to be done." After leaving the church grounds, Alberto and Tito are heading back to provide the new information to Leonardo. As they leave a market area, there are two men with swords blocking their way. A sword fight ensues. Gabriel and Tito had trained Alberto. He and Tito are the better swordsmen. Alberto and Tito quickly separate the two attackers and position themselves back to back. With blazing quickness, the swords clash with sparks due to the force of the attack. Tito finds an opening and slashes his opponent across the face, leaving a gash with blood flowing. At the same time, Alberto lunges, finding a mark on the side of his opponent. The two attackers realize that they are overmatched and quickly stumble off. Tito starts to run after them. "Tito, stop. Leave them be." "But maybe I know something." "They are just paid thugs. We have our leads. We have limited resources and need to follow the leads we have. Thank you for your excellent training. It has been my pleasure. You are a wise man. Shall we return? Alberto and Tito continue walking towards home. Arriving back at Leonardo's home, Alberto enters and finds Leonardo sitting and thinking. I have some new information. The maid murdered at the church early this morning had been asked by my friend to keep her eyes open for the special stamp. She worked for three men, the bishop, Father Luciano, and Father Lagargo. Raffaello indicated he thought someone was lying in wait for her, pulled her into an empty room and murdered her. On the way back, two thugs attacked Tito and me. We injured them and they ran away. Leonardo studies his papers. So, we need to figure out which of these three churchmen might be from the mafioso. We know the bishop is from Palermo. What about the other two fathers? It's time I have another meeting with the bishop. There's a knock at the door. Alberto answers the door to find Gabriel. Gabriel hands over a box.
A courier just dropped
Off this box for the master. He has already left with other messages to deliver. Thank you. I'll give this to master immediately. After closing the door, Alberto takes the box to Leonardo in the studio. A message has just been delivered. Let's see what we have. After opening the box and then opening the cryptics, Leonardo pulls out a message and begins to read it. Well, we now know how they identified Venice and eventually Davanzio's family as being part of the Freemasons. Our spies in the South indicate the message related to the missing courier and cryptics contained a reference to the family in Venice. While not by name, if they were able to somehow read the message, they would know to search in Venice. I think we need to refine the cryptic's destructive device. The stamp is connected to the mafia, although they don't know who specifically it might be. The man with the fancy leathers is one of Don's most trusted people. He and another of the Don's men have gone missing from Palermo. I am guessing they were among the men killed in Venice. But this gets us no closer to the local mafia leads. Without getting rid of them, we continue to be at risk. They will continue hunting for clues, and we will be the target. Clearly, it must be either the bishop or one of the fathers. I agree. We must get better information. Anton sits at a table in a small French village drinking wine while listening in to conversations. The wagons are camped outside the village in the woods. A few tables over, he perceives two men talking about seeing a group of wagons and guards heading inland. If we could round up enough men, we could attack from the rear and make off with at least one of the wagons. What do you think is in the wagons that need to be protected from guards? Maybe gold or silver. I've never seen so many wagons except when an army is traveling, and clearly it is no army. We need to move fast or they will be out of reach. How many men can we get and how fast? Well, the Russian bunch, maybe 6 or 7. How many do you think we'll take? I'll see if I can get the Targon family. That would make 15. If we hide in the woods on either side of the road and only attack when the last couple of wagons pass by, we should be able to get them and stop any of the guards from following. Good plan. Let's move. I'll meet you at the junction just to the north in 4 hours. The two men rise and head out of the tavern. Anton waits till they have gone and rises too, leaving some coins for the wine. Outside, he walks to the stables and retrieves his horse, casually leaving the small town. Once on the road and out of town, he kicks his horse into a run as he heads for the wagons. Arriving at the wagons, Anton quickly finds Andre and provides the information he overheard. Andre calls the guards together, and Anton again relays his information. Looking around, Andre clears a small area on the ground and, using a stick, lays out his plan. Meteo, like Andre, marches his wagons and forces only at night. He misses Belinda, but knows that the family depends on him. He is now in charge of the efforts to protect not only his wife and mother-in-law, but also the physical treasures of the Freemasons. Using his guard forces, they scour the forest on either side of the road ahead of the wagons. 2 days into their march, the guards run into a group of 10 men camped in the forest ahead of the wagons. Sneaking up on the encampment, they hear the men laughing and drinking as they cook a deer over the fire.
Did you see the look on that man's face when I ripped the clothes off his daughter? Too bad we had to kill her. We could have used a better cook around here, and her body was sweet. The look was nothing compared to when I stuck the knife into his wife. That family had so much food stored away, it'll keep us satisfied for 2 weeks.
The guards quietly send one of their men back to brief Meteo. After a few hours, the man returns with a single motion, a slash across his throat. The 4 guards spread out and pull out their bows. With a signal from the leader, the arrows fly true to their mark. After a brief gap, as the killers who are still living stumble about in their drunken stupor, another volley of arrows strikes their targets. With only 2 men left alive, they start to draw their swords to defend themselves, but a final flight of arrows kills them. The guards walk into the camp area and remove their arrows. After checking the bodies, they douse the fire and leave at a quiet signal from their leader. They abandon the bodies and food to the rest of the animals to clean up. These men deserve no burial in the guards' minds. The next day, as the afternoon sun warms the city of Milan, Leonardo and Tito reach the church grounds. They walk to the bishop's office. Tito stays outside the office.
Leonardo, good to see you again. Please, take a seat. I think you know Father Luciano, and this is Father Largo.
Yes, nice to meet you again, Father Luciano, and nice to meet you, Father Largo.
So, did all 3 of you come together from Palermo?
Yes, the 2 fathers have served me faithfully and transferred here with me to continue our mission. You indicated you might have a commission to discuss.
Yes, I wish to acquire a new painting for our church. You pick the theme and we'll show you where it needs to hang. After you have the details, give us a price. I'm sure we will be happy with your price and concepts.
This is very generous, Your Holiness. We can complete the commission quickly. I'll send Alberto over to determine the necessary position and measurements. Now, is there anything else you wish to talk about?
Yes. I heard the Defense Commission in Venice was just a rumor. Did you complete the statue for the Defancio wedding in time?
Yes, we shipped it in time to arrive on the day of the wedding.
So I heard that Defancio has vanished from Venice. Do you have any idea where the family may have moved to? I hear they have a painting that the church would like to acquire.
No, Your Holiness. I was not aware that they left. I delivered their statue, and that was the last contact I've had with them.
Well, if you do hear anything relative to where the church could find them, please let me know. We would like to buy the painting and would offer a great sum for it, along with a reward.
I'll keep that in mind in case I hear from Defancio again.
Thank you for stopping by. I'm excited to see the results of the commission. Have a good day, my son.
Leonardo rises and leaves the office. Tito and Leonardo walk back home. Leonardo is quiet as he mentally reviews the short conversation. Early the next morning, as Leonardo's household comes to life, a young woman, Danny, who is dressed as a church maid, comes to visit Leonardo. I am Enrifi's sister. I wanted to stop by before going to my day's work for the bishop. Our family wishes to thank you for your help and gracious nature. My brother Enrifi was extremely fond of you and excited to work with you. I only wish there was something we could do for you or help to punish his killers. I would like to ask you a question. In your work, have you seen anything with this seal? Oh, yes. It belongs to the bishop. It is his personal stamp, not his official stamp. I saw it yesterday on a paper he had in his room while I was cleaning. Have you mentioned this to anyone? No, I haven't mentioned it to anyone at all. Leonardo stops for a moment to gather himself before continuing. Enrifi was like a son to me. I miss him greatly. His killer was the bishop you work for. He works not for the church, but for a ruthless crime family from Palermo. My information indicates he brought this position here with the church to gain information and steal from me for the Palermo family. Danny is shocked. Shock turns to anger. Leonardo observes Danny's reaction. We can gain justice. Come visit me tomorrow and I'll have something for you. But I must warn you to tell this to no one. Any indication you know this information could put you in danger. Can you control your emotions? It will be hard, my master, but I understand. I'll do what you say. Just help me gain revenge for my family. Good. I'll have what we need ready by tomorrow. Now go to your job and take the time on your way to ensure you control your emotions. Danny leaves as Leonardo ponders the move to be made. On one hand, it was justice that needed to be dealt out. On the other hand, there was a risk to Danny. He had to be ready to protect her if something went wrong. In the dark of the night, when all are asleep, a dark figure appears in the church grounds like a ghost, climbing quietly across the roofs. The shadow silently enters the quarters of the first priest from Palermo. After a short time, the shadow then exits and enters the quarters of the second priest. Upon exiting the second priest's quarters, he enters the bishop's quarters. When he exits the bishop's room, he takes a moment to pull a thread and check that the door is now locked. The shadow climbs back up to the roof and disappears into the night.
Please like and subscribe the Watcher in the Fall channel.